Welcome back, everybody. Dave here. Well, it's been about 2 days since we had that big rainstorm and that Lux Twin Peak test, and 9 hours worth of 1 inch of rain. And the weathermen, or the people, flat botched that one. It was a weather bomb. But you can see here, this is the Lux 3W Wild West titanium stove, and I didn't buy the base plate for it, which I probably should have. Well, anyway, it has these little thin legs, and once the ground gets thawed out, they'll sink. So kind of like a bushcraft fix here. I just emptied 4 cans out, filled them with dirt, and it stuck the little sharp legs in there, and it creates a bigger footprint where it doesn't sink. So just something to consider. If worst comes to worst and you don't have your base plate, because they're about $50. Okay, I think all of you have probably experienced that when you're using a pan. This is a pretty lightweight pan here, but you're using a heavy-duty skillet, and you're banging around on the stove, and it has the ability to sink once the ground gets warm and hot and everything, and just the weight of you banging on things. Having a base plate, or bigger footprint, okay? And I know there have been people out there, because I know I've had it happen, where the pipe becomes disconnected somehow, or some type of a stove malfunction or something. It doesn't happen often, but you always want to have like a pair of heavy-duty gloves, welder's gloves or anything. So if you really had to handle some really hot stuff, you want to make sure you have a good glove for it. Otherwise, you might be in for a bad time. And things are when you are in an emergency situation, you just tend to grab and not really give it a good thought process. Well, it's good to have the stuff already within reach. All right, everybody, welcome back. Dave Collier here. How y'all doing, man? Finally, got a pretty day here in Virginia. It's starting to get cold, and I should say eastern Virginia. Western Virginia's already gotten a good bit of snow, as I'm sure a lot of you probably already know. And what we have here is the Lux 3W Wild West titanium stove. I have used this thing now 2 or 3 times, and it has worked really good. But there are some things that you may want to consider before you buy this thing. You will notice it has a glass front, and this little knob right here is what opens it. Okay, when it is hot, you only want to touch this. You don't want to touch anything else, because it will burn you. It's something to consider. Okay, what you have here is the damper assembly. This is a spark arrestor card, and this is the damper card. And this is the type of material it's made from. It's not really heavy, so just you need to consider it. There are some sharp edges, so be aware of that. Then this is the chimney stack. Okay, it's about 7 feet tall, and these rings hold it into this rolled up position, and it will fit inside of the damper assembly. Actually, it fits to the outside of the damper assembly, otherwise you will have smoke coming out, and then it all fits into this hole. Okay, I like this stove. It's done a good job. It has really performed well. But there is one thing that I did not do that all of y'all might want to consider that are thinking about buying this kind of a stove. All right, you'll notice the legs of this stove. Okay, they're sharp. Well, not really sharp, but they come down to a point. And when you lay this on a frozen ground or muddy ground, after a bit, they'll sink. So this does present somewhat of a problem. They do make a base plate, and you'll see the base plate flash on your screen just after I made this little talk. Pardon the noise from the military aircraft, but the U.S. Air Force is out doing this thing. You'll notice that it's now sitting on the ground there. And what can happen is while you're pushing on it, you're cooking on it, or anything else, it could sink. And if you put your skillet or anything else on there, it just causes a lot of banging around, and it will hasten the sinking of those little legs. And like I said, they do make a base plate. It costs about $50 from Lux, but there are some other things that you can do. Okay, you can see here I put it on like a cookie sheet, and it'll still slide around some, and may not be the most stable thing. Sure, you could also turn the cookie sheet upside down, drill some holes in it, and attach some wing nuts like that. That'll keep it stable. This past trip out, this is what I did to make this stove a little more stable. I just cut the lids off of 4 cans, soup cans, baked bean cans, filled them with dirt, and I sunk the little pointy ends of the legs into that, and this made the stove a lot more stable. Okay, this is a big deal. You definitely want a stable stove. So, not exactly the most scientific approach, but it is a bush fix. Those of you that have been out there messing with these types of stoves before can definitely understand the possibility while you're out there banging around, you know, you're cooking and everything like that. And there's your damper assembly, and obviously the pipe would go up, and there's always the possibility of you knocking the pipe out of its little slot there and having some type of a disconnect. And we all know what happens when a pipe comes out like that. It just lays itself flat right across the side of the tent, and you will have a burned tent and maybe even a fire. So stability matters. So if you're buying this type of a stove, and there are many like it, like I said, this one is a Lux 3W. There are a number of different types out there with different names on it that have a similar design. So just something to consider, stability. Okay, let's assume for 1 minute that the worst has happened. Your pipe has come out, and the instinct is to grab. Okay, last thing you want to do is use your hand. Okay, have yourself a pair of welding gloves, something really heavy duty. That way you can grab without getting yourself really badly burned, and maybe even save your tent or your life. And just, you know, these are little tiny things. And like I said, Lux sells base plates that fit these stoves, but most people, when they're looking at these things, they see the stove and they say, okay, that's a decent price. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, the stove is a good stove. It works just fine. But if you don't buy the base plate, you're going to find out that some banging around with your pots and your pans, or even just if you lose your balance and you find yourself hitting the stove, those legs, without a little bit of a bigger, broader footprint, they will sink into the ground, and you will have a disconnect, and you will experience kind of a catastrophic event, you know. So just something to think about. Okay, let's say going on the assumption now that you've had your stove here burning for some time, some hours, and it's starting to get filled with ash. There is some things that you need to consider when trying to get ash out of a stove. And how I address this situation is just another old bush fix. I put like a little scraper on a piece of round stock, and I use it to scrape the stove out, and then I put it inside of a pan or something, then take it outside. Again, wear your gloves. The instinct is to reach. Last thing you want to do is reach for something that's operating at several hundred degrees. You know it's hot when it's glowing orange. All right. Does wood matter? Yeah, it does. Okay. You see here some kindling that I have chopped up. There's sticks that you can find in the forest, laying on the ground. These work pretty good. I would discourage using old bunky wood from like projects around your house. You'll notice it still has a little bit of residue of red paint on it. Is it unsafe? I don't know, but conventional wisdom would probably say it's probably not the best thing to do. All right, in this position right here, you can see the intake is wide open, and you can adjust it. Various different slots. I have found that once you have a good fire going, if you put it right like about this, and then you come up here and you put your damper card in there about like that. Of course, like I say, your pipe's going to be attached to that. You'll get yourself 3 to 4 hours of good heat out of one good little stoked up flame. So just something to think about. Okay, what you see here are the UCO matches. These things will stay lit 15 to 20 seconds. They'll reignite even if you drop them in the water. If they get wet, you just wipe them off. They are pretty good little match. They come in these little orange containers. I believe this one was picked up at Walmart. And I have tried one, and it really does live up to its bill, and so this is a nice product to have. All right, what we have here is the atomic lighter. I know you've seen these things on TV. Does it work? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. It has not failed me. I've used it a few times now. It's charged by a USB port, and I really enjoy using this thing. All right, I relocated the demonstration for this atomic lighter to the inside. It's a little bright outside, so you charge this by USB, and it will, one single charge, it will probably light several hundred times. So this is really a neat gadget. I know you've seen these on TV, and I like them. They really do. All right. In closing, I simply just like to say, just remember, all these parts are hot, they're sharp, and the instinct is that when you have an issue, even if something catches on fire on your little skillet there or whatever you have to be using, is to grab. Remember, heavy-duty gloves, and then grab, okay? And should you experience a pipe disconnect, make sure you get the gloves on first. Even if you lost a tent, it's better than getting yourself just like really badly burnt or anything else. So I'm planning on taking the um, Lux Twin Peak back out this weekend. We're finally supposed to get some honest to goodness cold weather, and if the weather people are right, even here on the east coast of the United States, mid-Atlantic area, Virginia, we might even be able to get a snow next week. So I'm hoping so, because the last couple of years we really haven't had much of anything. I hope that this video finds all of y'all in good health, and I'd like to have any of you like, comment, subscribe, Dave Collier Camping, and good luck. Happy camping.